everybody. We are live. Welcome to Late Night News with Go Indie Now. I am your co-anchor, Joe Compton. And yes, you're not seeing things. I am joined by the one, the only, the impressive and awesome VENESSA GIUNTA. Tell everybody, hello, say hello to everybody. There's people out there, but Maddie's out there.
Hello.
Anita's out there. Pam is out there. It's so nice to see you all. Thank you for joining us. So, VENESSA, tell everybody a little bit about yourself and give everybody an idea about you. If they don't know, I'm sure everybody out there who's here, at least I know everybody here who's commented so far knows you, but just in case.
Okay, just in case. My name is VENESSA GIUNTA. I am an author and a freelance editor. I also do contract editing with the occasional publishing company. But I write urban fantasy primarily, usually with horrific elements. And when I write short fiction, it tends to be horror. There's like probably an 75 to 80% chance the short fiction is going to be horror. So that's me.
And someday we'll explore that. But we have a jam-packed show tonight.
Mhm.
Emily's out there. Hello, my friend. Nice to see you.
Oh, Emily. She's one of my
Yeah,
good people.
yeah, awesome. It's nice to see you. Uh, but yeah, so just so you all know, uh, we're here. VENESSA's here because she's awesome, and I could not have thought of a better person to have fill that seat. Katie unfortunately could not join us tonight. She had a prior engagement, so we are. She's here in spirit, and I'm sure she's going to watch and let VENESSA know how awesome she is and how great she's done, and because I know she's going to do great. And yeah, we're here. Hello, Deborah. Nice to see you. But yeah, let's. I mean, we've got such a jam-packed show, so let's just get right to it. There's a lot going on, and our top story tonight is that of the story of probably the last 2 weeks out there, and that is there was a big to do on Book Talk about uh, ebook returns, and it garnered a petition. So there's a petition out there that is gaining popularity, demanding that Amazon change its policy on ebook returns. The current return policy on Kindle ebooks is Amazon customers are allowed to return any ebook within 7 days of purchase from their account. As well, customers have 7 days to return accidental ebook purchases, which I've never heard of until this article. That's kind of an eye opener for me. And Amazon will issue a refund on the books being returned. Customers may also rent ebooks from Amazon, which can be returned at any point within their allotted time. Critics of this policy worry that people are reading entire books and returning them regardless of enjoyment. So author Rhea Fox started a petition on change.org that has already garnered 41,000 of the 50,000 signatories. Actually, the first goal was 25. They reached that within a couple days and then bumped it up to 50. Obviously, to think that that it's going to garner more attention, the more the goal is, and obviously to keep the goal going, I'm sure they'll bump that up again if that happens. And her statement was that there's been a huge upswing in authors' ebooks being returned to Amazon after they've been read. And she says returning a book after reading 10% to 20% is one thing, but then reading the book in its entirety should not be allowed to return. End of discussion. Authors are charged a download fee for the customer purchases, which isn't reimbursed when readers return the book. This can lead to authors making overall losses when too many people return their purchases. She claims that one author had triple-digit returns for March. That same author has had single-digit returns the prior 2 months combined. And authors are not being paid accurately for their art. So she's asking that Amazon please change their policy. So I reached out to Amazon thinking there was no way in hell I was ever going to get a response. I don't get a response from them fixing stuff that I need fixing personally. So how was I going to get a response from this, right? Well, literally within hours, like literally that same day, I got a response from Kindle It was actually to the Kindle site, so the Kindle people responded to me, and they gave an official statement. They wanted me to identify them as an Amazon official. I don't know why, but here you go. You are identified as an Amazon official. You know who you are. And they said, we are well aware of the issue. Let me put this on the screen for everybody so they can see it, I think. So they say that they are well aware of the issue being presented and the petition that is out there, but that our ebook return rates are consistently low, and we have controls and systems in place to prevent them from being misused. Amazon strives to give the greatest possible experience for authors and customers alike. Our ultimate goal is to encourage people to read, and we recognize the importance of authors. That's why we started Kindle Direct Publishing, as well as other recent efforts like the Amazon Literary Partnership, which help authors and literary organizations. As per usual, it's no surprise to anybody here that their vagueness is rampant in this statement. If you go to the actual Kindle site, their policy says, note, if you have a high rate of return requests in your account history, the self-service refund option may be blocked. That is what it says in there. That's the only thing it says about the return policy. And who knows how they define a rapid return rate. I mean, that could not be more vague in its wording there, which is, of course, Amazon's MO. Yes. I mean, so I know there was a lot of talk last week on This Week in Indies about how we came together as a community and got Audible to change their policies, which they did in December of 2020. They were able to give us an issued statement on that before, which was as of January 1st, 2021. We were paying royalties on any return made more than 7 days after purchase. We are also making other changes to our ACX policies to provide more flexibility, which we know is important to you. Which, of course, who knows what those policies were, because they were as quiet and as
always,
as vague as you possibly could get. And it's just interesting. I don't. Oh yeah. So that was their statement to me before, or that was the statement on their website. Sorry. So if you guys wanted to see that, sorry, I'm trying to do 50 things at once, so I apologize. I didn't get the slides up properly. But I mean, bring VENESSA in here and talk a little bit about this. But yeah, it's crazy, the idea. And the one thing I will note on the return policy at the Kindle site, this is physically at the Kindle site. It says if you have a return that needs to be done with Kindle Vella, that is a completely different site that we need to send you to. So we've gone from audiobooks to ebooks. So get ready, Vendel people, because if you're a Vendel person, this policy may shine another ugly head just yet, So
yeah, I mean, it'll be interesting. Everything they do with Vella, though, is separate. Like your reporting for Vella is separate. Where you upload it is separate. It's a whole separate platform. So it makes sense to me that you have to go to a separate place to get the Vella returns. So and also they're still not really advertising Vella. So like there aren't a whole lot of readers as far as I know. And so I'm not worried about returns right now. that's future VENESSA's problem.
Yeah, I mean, everybody's got to make some sales first, right? I mean,
right, exactly. Somebody's got to start paying for it before they can get their money back.
Yeah, so. I mean, that's really the bottom line here. I mean, we were talking before about that statement about the triple-digit returns. I mean, that's insane.
Yeah.
And it's just crazy to think that there's something like that out there. But I mean, I kind of fall into Jim Nettles' camp on this, and that it's kind of the cost of business a little bit, and it usually is not to this rampant extent, but.
I agree with what's being said in the chat, though, in the YouTube chat, that TikTok, it's because people are encouraging other people on TikTok
do
to
this.
to read the book and return it.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah, yeah. We've got a lot of chatter about this, and
yeah,
this I didn't know this until I read this
I
article. I was kind
actually knew that. I actually knew about it, but I thought it was 24 hours, but I guess
of
it's 7 days. But I thought it
yeah.
was 24 hours. I knew you could return it, and it's because of the one click that we're getting so many people who accidentally clicked.
Oh, I get it. Oh, the one you click the one-time click. Yeah,
Yeah,
okay. That
exactly.
makes a lot of sense. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I usually just ignore that button and do the cart because
Yeah,
I always
I
I always
actually have it turned off on mine because I
yeah.
don't trust myself.
Yeah, me too. Yeah. Me too.
So, but
Yeah.
I think like the problem with this, my issue with this is that anyone who's buying Kindle books, Amazon is tracking how much they're reading. Even if you're
Yep.
not doing Kindle Unlimited, if you have to use Kindle software or you have to use a Kindle device.
Yeah.
And so they know exactly how much you've read. So there's no reason they can't say if you read more than 40% of the book or 50% of the book, you don't get your money back.
Yeah.
Done and done.
Yeah.
That's
Which, by the way, we have a poll going on right now in the YouTube chat for everybody to weigh in on that exact thought, which is where do you believe there's a point of no return? And yes, holy f, they responded. Yeah, I was surprised as anybody.
I know, right?
I the low numbers because there are so many users that does not fix the issue. Well, yeah, I think it's a numbers game for them. So obviously they can easily cite that as low
Mhm.
numbers. Amazon rhetoric. Bottom line for me, if they read the whole thing, they bought it, no return. I have single digit returns so far, and I signed the
Yeah.
petition. There you go.
Same. Same.
Although to be fair, TikTok is as much to blame as you were saying, Vanessa.
It's
I
probably
agree.
more to blame. Yeah.
Hmm. I agree. TikTok is encouraging theft. They might
Yep.
as well say, "Go to your grocery, grab a steak, and walk out."
Honestly, if I'm going to steal something, it's sure as hell not going to be a damn ebook. Come on now.
Even on the app, you see the percentage
Mhm.
you've read the book. Oh, you can. I didn't know that. Interesting. Again, I'm learning so much about this.
Yeah,
But
because they track the app. They track the app. That's why you have to have their app. Don't tell
mhm.
anybody, but I actually convert mine to EPUB and I put it on my damn Nook. So they don't get to track me because that's what I've
Yes,
done.
that's awesome. But yeah, so I mean, this is a polarizing issue by far, for sure, and 41,000 people have signed it. I mean, of the 9 million people
It's
published,
almost it's
but
a hair from 42,000. I just checked it before the thing,
okay.
and it's like maybe 50 away from being 42,000. So
Mhm.
yeah,
Yeah, and yeah, and I think that there's certainly there's probably a little bit of exaggeration going on both sides,
sure.
and as always, there's two sides to every story.
Yeah.
But
But the thing is,
but
we never get Amazons. That's the issue.
yeah,
It's their lack
yeah,
of transparency. So Karina, what's happening on TikTok is that some TikTok users are showing other users how to get a refund on an ebook that they've already completely read, so that they get their money back, regardless, like even if they liked it. So they're
mhm,
taking advantage of that 7-day return period by reading our books and then getting their money back from us after
mhm.
they've consumed our product. So,
All right. So yeah, I think we've talked enough about that. I think we've kind of figured that out. I appreciate everybody's feedback there, and you guys can continue to comment. And we'll put them up if as it goes along. But we have more stories for you. Are you ready?
I'm ready. My
Vanessa,
debut.
Vanessa gets to do her first story, everybody, and it's actually kind of a funny one, a little bit of a crack up. So, but
Um, oh, I'm sorry. I was already skipped ahead. No, the next one was. Oh, yeah. Okay. Sorry. Yeah. Never mind. I'm sorry. I was skipped ahead. I'm so bad at this.
no, 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 no,
All
no.
right.
You're good. You're good.
Okay. So,
You're good.
in this, because I was in my head on the next story because it's related actually pretty closely to this one. So we'll
It
just
is,
do this
yes,
one first. All right.
yeah.
So if you guys don't know, Google Play is cracking down on Kindle and Audible, both of those specifically.
Hmm.
And what's happened is they have had in their terms of service that apps have to use Google Play billing in order to be in the App Store, but they haven't been enforcing that, right? They haven't been enforcing that. So last year they decided to give a deadline of September 2021 to get, tell the apps, get it together. This is what's happening. We're going to dump you off the platform if you do not do this. Well, of course, things happen. So a lot of companies were not on board yet. They hadn't gotten all their tech straightened out. So Google gave an extension to March 31st. So if you have Audible on your phone, you may have noticed that you can no longer purchase books using money. You can only do the credits. If you want to actually purchase an Audible book, you have to go to the website and purchase it there. And that is because they don't want to give Google a cut of their money, because of course they're Amazon. Of course they don't. They don't even want to give us a cut of our money. So okay. So Amazon announced a couple days ago that it'll no longer be selling audiobooks through their Android app, and they'll only charge subscriptions credits, right? So you can only use credits. If you want to buy individual audiobooks, you have to visit the website, buy something, and then sync it up with the app, which of course is good for Amazon because they keep money in-house, but it makes it a pain in the butt for consumers. So it'll be really interesting to see how that plays out when people who are not up on this kind of news, like us, are like trying to do something, and how I can't imagine customer service at Audible. I can't buy this book I want. It's only $6. It's on sale right now and I can't buy it. And they're going to be getting a million of them, right? A million of them.
Absolutely.
I don't really feel that bad. So, but Amazon's not the only company that is affected by this. Barnes & Noble made the decision that they are not going to be doing, they're not going to be billing with Google Play. And so you can only purchase ebooks directly from its website and then sync it to the app. You can no longer purchase books through your Android Nook reading app. So, but to make up for the inconvenience, Barnes & Noble says it has a number of ebook discounts and promotions planned for the next 60 days. Huzzah! But one of the things that I found super interesting about all of this is that Spotify did not have to do this. And the option that they were given there, and Joe, you were saying that, when you and I were talking about this privately, you were talking about how they've integrated some of the Google Play stuff, but they're not being held to the same standards. Like they're allowed to use an alternate billing service. Yeah. And Barnes & Noble is like, we weren't even given that option. And I can totally understand why they would be really pissed off by that.
Right.
It's interesting because Spotify is streaming music, and of course Barnes & Noble is books. And as usual, books is the bastard stepchild of the creative community, So I find this all very, very interesting. What do you think?
Well, to be fair, Spotify did buy Findaway Voices, and they're using Findaway Voices now. So they are trying to get into the audiobook market, but they have yet to have cracked that as one of the major players. And we just found out today, actually breaking news today, that Barnes & Noble is also breaking into the audiobook market to do something directly with Nook, that they're going to be offering their own subscription service, which kind of makes sense that this news came out like this, because that kind of was what was leading to that. That was the next step for them, I think. And for me, this article, the funniest part of this article, if you don't mind, can I read the little quote from the Barnes & Noble guy? I think this is just absolutely hilarious. It sounds so bitter. Let me see if I can even find it.
You want me to read it? I've got it right
here. Yeah,
here.
go ahead. Go ahead.
All right. Barnes & Noble further explained that it was not given the option of participating in an alternative billing program, and later determined it was unable to integrate the Google billing. That's that.
It's like a child stomping their foot, right? I wanted peanut butter and jelly, and you gave me peanut butter. You
But
know,
Mom,
yeah, yeah. It's Google's way or the highway. Seems anti-accessible. That's freaking ridiculous. Okay, that's a bit crazy. I even read Karina's comments
Pam,
with her
that
accent.
cracks me up.
Hi, Rebecca. Nice to see you. LOL, Pam. Yeah, I should have said I hear your voice in my head. Dangerous. Findaway distributes directly to Google Play, so that they may have helped. That may have helped Spotify. Yes, I would think so. But Spotify was exempt from this from the
Yeah.
beginning, so
Spotify
they
was
were not
exempt.
they were not given the alternative. So
Yeah.
uh,
And also, what was I going to say? Oh, the thing about Barnes & Noble getting into audiobooks, awesome, but as usual with Barnes & Noble, way late to the game.
yeah,
Way late to the game, people. You know, audiobooks have been the top increase, like the most increased, the most the highest returns and all that. Not returns, that's not the right word. There, it's the fastest growing portion
revenue stream.
of revenue stream of publishing,
Yep.
and has been for years.
Yep.
At least 5 years now. So
Yeah.
like it's like Barnes and Noble, and don't get me wrong, I love me some Barnes and Noble, but it's like they're like the little kid, you know, like all the teenagers are going, and like the 12-year-old little sister of the one of the cool kids is running behind going, wait for me. So yes.
Oops. Yes, and yeah, Find a Way is ridiculous. Although they are working through. Spotify has, if you watched our show last month, we talked a little bit about this. That Spotify Find a Way Voices has just released a program in which it's called Find a Way Voices. I think it's called Direct, if I'm not mistaken. But it's a program in which they work with you on the financing of the book and everything like that, and it's all part of their program. Of course, you have to pay a fee to be a part of the program, but you know, what don't you have to pay a fee for these days?
Yeah.
But you know, fastest growing revenue stream, but not good at paying their authors. Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
I mean, you
yes,
know, consistency is important, I guess.
mm-hmm. Yeah, and it'll be interesting to see how Barnes and Noble. I mean, they set the price point at $15, according to the article I read today, or you can sign up for their subscription, which you know, again, you know, that's how the world works these days, and so. It's interesting, but yeah, they're really late to the game. And at this point, you know, I mean, maybe what they're hoping for is that Nook users, like on their apps and stuff like that, they'll probably do a lot of pimping in the front page of the app, and the users will go, oh, I can get an audiobook right here now. Great. And maybe that's what they're hoping for. And that might work. I mean, you know, our society is a little lagging when it comes to, you know, finding out things sometimes. So
on TikTok, and then everybody will know.
Yeah, there you go. I'm sure there's somebody who posted something about it today on TikTok. I'm sure, but anyway, and then right after that video, somebody duetted that video with the way on how you could get around paying the $15 in the subscription model.
I'm sure, 100%. What I really like to see, just really quickly, is what I think would affect a lot of this is I really wish that that the U.S. government would break up Amazon, like move the publishing to an entirely different company and just like break the whole thing up. That's
per Joe Biden, he's coming for Amazon. So I don't know if you saw that press conference yesterday, but
and it's not that it. I mean, I have very fundamental issues with Amazon in many, many ways because they do not treat their authors well at all. But at the end of the day, they are a monopoly, 100% a monopoly. And that needs to be addressed because Barnes and Noble's not going to be able to get a foot in on audiobooks because they're so late to the game. And Amazon is so well established. So there's no like it's not going to be any competition at all. Amazon is just going to like swat them away like or like the 12-year-old little sister that's running along behind them. So
And I hate to say this because I really have high hopes, and yes, it's still very early, and they have to get this together. But here again, is this opportunity, this door, this little crack in the door opening. Where is Mark Coker and Chris Austin? Where are you guys? What are you waiting for?
Yep.
We're all on board with this. We're ready to go, Drafted Digital and Smashwords. What are you waiting for?
Yep.
Why can't we? This has been Mark Coker's dream, the opportunity to take the Zon on.
Yes.
Well, now you have the backing. Before I understood his position and why he didn't do it, because he would have got buried. But now he's got the backing.
Yeah.
And we're all behind it.
But I think we need to let them like get their stuff together first. They only
can only wait so long, though. The door doesn't leave the crack open very long.
No, that's true. But there will be other cracks in the door. It happens all the time.
True, but
so,
it just frustrates me. It frustrates me to no end because it's sitting there waiting to happen, right? And
it's just happening.
Yeah. All right. So leading into that story, Vanessa's going to double up here for us and talk a little bit about, it's not just America and Canada that's being affected by piracy right now. It's kind of interesting.
So there's a big story out of Italy that book piracy has cost the Italian book publishing industry 771 million euros. And that's that's 856 $1 million, as well as an estimated 5,400 jobs. So one of the comparisons. Actually, let me read this part that you wrote. To get a sense for how big a chunk of the potential revenue is evaporating because of piracy, consider that the figures put together for this report represent a third of the overall market, 31%. And that's not even counting educational and export sectors. That's insane.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
That would cripple a lot of economies.
Yes.
If that was their major export or import, that would cripple them.
Yes. So let's see. Ricardo Franco Levi, who is the AIE president and Federation of European Publishers vice president, and Rome Special Commissioner for the 2024 Frankfurt Guest of Honor Italy program, is quoted in the report saying, "People need to be aware of this and aware that they can be called to account for the illegal acts they commit. Institutions need to commit to this. Piracy affects all the Italian creative industries, book and magazine publishing, television, cinema, and music. And where effective counter campaigns have been launched, such as pay TV subscriptions, the results are starting to show. The various bills currently under discussion also testify to the now widespread awareness of the need to intervene." And he said, "In order to prevent and where necessary, repress the unlawful dissemination of copyright protected content through electronic communication networks, as well as ensure fair remuneration." As many in the world publishing industry know, piracy is not always conducted by knowing criminals. Once a site is set up to offer intellectual property without payment to creators and copyright holders, much of the actual work of piracy is done by consumers who don't realize that they're depriving authors, publishers, and others of their rightful income, or those who feel that that it's just one small infraction. I'll just download this one thing I wanted, isn't part of the overall scam pattern, but it is. And so they have a lot of numbers that they throw out and everything, basically.
Which is Vanessa's favorite thing.
God. No, numbers are important, but they throw out so many numbers that it becomes confusing. But basically, the important part is that from 2019 to 2021, so 2 years, piracy is up 5%. 5%, which is a lot. You don't expect things to go up that much. Excuse me. One of the interesting things that I read in the article that I haven't mentioned is that they did a poll of particularly university students, and a good percentage of them knew they were pirating. They knew it, and they did it anyway.
Wow.
So there's also like, there's a certain segment that they don't care that they're doing it.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see if anything comes out of that, because as like what's in that article, in those articles, and in those studies is not anything we didn't already know as indie authors and indie creators. We already know piracy is insane.
Yeah.
Yeah,
you go crazy trying to figure out how many piracy sites to have your book in.
I don't even care. I don't even.
It's not even worth the trouble.
It is literally a full-time job with overtime to try to even keep up with that. It's not even worth it. And
I wanted to drive home the 5% if I could, real quickly.
Yes.
I want to give people out there an idea of how big that is, because you hear 5%, you think that's nothing. But think about this, right? In the last 9 months, the U.S. gas prices have gone up only 8%. And how many times have you complained about gas prices in the United States? I mean, abroad too. I mean, it's not just the United States, but the people in the United States, that's like the number one issue. Gas being, here it's almost $6. The average, I think the average is $5.45 right now in California, but that's only 8%. That's an 8% increase from 9 months ago. So think about that. If you're so crazily insane from gas prices being so high, think about 5% and how much that really matters. That's a lot.
Yeah.
It's insane.
I will say though that one thing that I don't know that they take into consideration, because I haven't read the actual studies that the article quoted, is that in most cases, I think people who pirate entertainment aren't willing to pay for it especially books, particularly books. Movies, they might go to the movies, but they might watch it on Hulu or whatever. But as far as books, they will pirate it. If they're pirating it, there's a very, very slim chance they would ever actually buy it. So, I mean,
which is an interesting dichotomy, because you sent me a story earlier this the last couple of days about how there's a Russian game company that wants you to pirate theirs, because
my husband turned me on to that there is a Russian gaming company who, because of all the sanctions and all the outside financial ties have been cut, they can't get paid for their game, but they still want people to play it. So they are actually encouraging people to torrent and download their game to play it.
Yeah, which is
it's called, what's it called? Loop Hero?
Yeah,
something.
That's it. Yeah,
I think it's Loop Hero. So if you want to check it out,
there you go. So, all right, Italians, go ahead, pirate that.
Pirate that.
But the one thing the article kind of washed over, and I've read in other places, and it's kind of hard to read Italian news because it's mostly in Italian, and I don't speak Italian. But from what I gather, these summits that they're having right now with their economy, because they've been trying to get their economy back stimulated from COVID, and they took a really giant hit, and so they've been having these summits, and part of that was inviting the publishing community to join them and talk about this and kind of figure out how they can do this. But they believe that of that percentage that we were talking about, that they could get about half of that percentage down, because they do believe that people just aren't educated enough to understand what it means. Sure. And if they educate the public, which is interesting, because that's something that we talked about on Sunday as well. If we educate readers, will the ebook return thing stop? As rampant, will that rampant number go down? Because if you educate people, maybe they feel guilty about hey, they're taking money out of
Yeah.
your pocket, and they might actually stop doing what they're doing.
I
But
suspect that the people who are on TikTok who watch those videos,
mhm,
they may not realize, even some of the people who do the videos, they may all feel like they're sticking it to Amazon
mhm,
and
yeah,
not really realize that there are people over here, trying to pay their dang mortgage, you
yeah,
know,
yeah,
you know?
yeah. I mean, look, if you're depending on one book sale to pay your rent, I think maybe you need to diversify a little bit,
No,
But
no, I agree with you, but you know what I mean, though. Like, I
yeah,
mean, it
yeah,
could be that, those 5 returns could have been the difference between,
true.
keeping your lights on or,
True, very
whatever.
true. And I don't mean to belittle that. That's
Right.
very important. But it is. I think Amazon. I think that we both have a point. There is points to
Yeah.
be had for both
Yeah.
stands right now. But
Sure. Mhm.
there's a ton of a lot of people really like this Italian story. I was surprised by that. But yeah, I wanted to get this in there before
Mhm.
step up. Yeah, we all agree on that. That's strange because I was told Italians don't read much, and then
Well, they were
never had.
also talking about other creators. It wasn't just
Yeah,
about us.
yeah. And their stats are equal to U.S. reads. Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, it's a hard job to try and get those websites shut down. Three
Pirate
more
ones,
up
yeah.
and up. Yeah,
I don't even
I
mess.
stopped
Yeah,
looking.
I don't
Yeah,
even mess with it.
exactly. Gas prices in Canada suck too. Yeah, everywhere it's kind of awful. So for some, it's the thrill of getting something for nothing, and for most, they will never
Yes.
have bought the book. They are not your
Yes.
market. Happy Friday. Hello, JD. You should have heard my radio show today. I did my first rant. Awesome. Yeah, everybody go check that out. That's certainly worth hearing because Karina's very passionate about this issue. So, hey, JD, everybody's saying hello to JD. Ridiculous. I hope that wasn't just for JD, but
Well,
Doom is
to be fair, JD is kind of ridiculous sometimes.
Doom is the most torrented game of all time. Still makes a profit to this day. And
And can
JD
I
says
comment
hello.
on that real quick?
Uh
And
huh.
that's cool and everything, but that's the same thing as Neil Gaiman saying that piracy doesn't have any effect on book sales because he doesn't see it. And
Yeah.
I
Well,
love
of course.
Neil Gaiman, but dude, people would buy a freaking grocery list he wrote. Like he's in an entirely different league than the rest of us. It not just obviously in terms of what you normally think about, but also his piracy is not going to affect him because he has no idea how much piracy is affecting him, to be quite honest. you
Hmm.
know so yeah, so like when it's something that has a big name and already has a big following, yeah, the impact is not going to be anywhere near what it is for someone who is smaller, for a small
Yeah.
gaming company or an indie author or a filmmaker. It's not the same. It's apples to oranges.
And the idea is that, like, for people to keep telling independent authors, well, write more and then you'll make more. And there's
Which
all
is
kinds of
true.
thoughts and
Yeah.
pushes out there for different ways in order to increase your revenue stream. But the bottom line is you put out what you put out. That's part of the luxury of being indie. And so, you want to be rewarded for your efforts and
Yeah.
and it does cost money. It costs us all money to make covers, to get
Yeah.
covers
But
done, to get.
even more than that, it costs a lot of time. And
Yes,
time is way more
absolutely,
valuable than money
absolutely. You
because you
can't get
can't
that back.
replenish it. Right.
Yeah,
That's it. It's gone. If
yeah,
I've spent 500 hours writing my book, and then, I end up having to pay people to read it because I don't even get refunded Amazon's little charge they charge me, which is a crock of shit. Dude, if you're gonna give them a refund, you need to be giving me a refund too.
yeah. No
So,
kidding.
but yeah. Anyway, I also want to hear Guyman read his grocery list. I
But
will pay for that.
this is funny. Pam says,
Yeah,
"Seriously, you're only first rent."
it's like we know Karina.
Yeah, yeah, live on air. Yes,
Woo!
I'm surprised by that too because Korea's been on air for a
Oh
while.
wait, go
So
back to Pam's. Yeah,
sure, yeah,
Pam. That was really good. That's a really good
yep.
point. I
Yeah,
agree.
I do think many readers just think great free books. When they find out it's stealing, they feel different. Yeah, and I think that's what the Italians are hoping for.
And that's what we hope for, right? That's what we all
Yes,
hope for. That,
yeah, for
people
sure.
aren't just assholes. See, this is what I meant about JD.
Yeah, yeah. I haven't seen one come across mine yet, but also I don't get a ton. So um, that's exactly what I said today. I went through the cost, time, and effort. Yep.
Hmm.
And yeah, it's everybody's amused by JD.
Yes. I mean, everyone's always amused by JD because he's
Of
very
course, yeah.
funny.
Deaf not for JD. All that crazy. Yeah, we knew.
Right? See, that's what I need, Anita.
Not quite what I'm saying. More like some mediums are better suited for piracy than others.
Yeah.
Some companies take advantage of it. And it's something to consider.
And Josh, I wasn't meaning, I did, it was something that occurred to me that your comment was a jumping point off of. So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I want to hear Gaiman read his grocery list. LOL. He does audiobooks, which is cool. Yes.
I'd buy that audiobook.
Uh,
But apparently I would have to use a credit if I'm doing it on my phone.
if they pirate but leave a review, how would everyone feel on it? This is a great question, Maddie.
See, I would be okay with that. If they did that, I would be okay with it because it's no different than an ARC reader, right?
Yeah. Yeah,
I
absolutely.
mean, I'd rather them just contact me and say, "Hey, I would like to review your book, but I don't have a whole lot of money." I'd be like, "Here, have at it."
Yeah. Yeah. For sure. I mean, that's important, and it's kind of the pseudo question that I offered everybody in This Week in Indies, which I said, if you were making money hand over fist, would you be as vocal about this issue if you weren't?
Right.
Uh, because I think there is a difference, and that's why Neil Gaiman said what he said, because he makes millions and millions of dollars and he doesn't have to worry about it. I've lost count of how many times I've been asked when book 3 is due, and I have a painful count of how many
Yeah.
sales and reviews on book 2.
I feel that in my heart, JD.
Yeah, shame they don't. Would adore people pirating the hell out of my book for reviews. Yeah. Oh no. Yeah, fuck off. I'm writing. Yeah, I would probably be okay too. Good point, Vanessa. Yeah. All right. So, I'm now giggling at the idea of a pirate medium. Your mother says she will be a peace now.
I feel like that would make a really cool story. I may have to run with that idea. A pirate medium.
Yes, that's pretty cool. I like that. But the prognostications aside, we have some practicality on our show usually, and that comes from the one and only CL Cannon's marketing tip this month. Is a really good one, everybody.
I love these.
You've been asking her about newsletter swaps. Well, she's going to give you the skinny. This is her marketing tip for April, and then we'll be back to talk about something that I'm very passionate about, that I need to rant. I need to rant today as well. So you're going to get a little Joe Gets Twitchy here today as well. But here you go, everybody. Here's the marketing tip, and we'll be back right after that.
Hey guys, CL Cannon here from Fiction Atlas Press, bringing you another monthly marketing tip. So today I'm going to be talking about newsletter swaps, and I know I've talked about newsletter swaps before, but today I'm going to be talking about some of the things that I get a lot of questions about. I get a lot of questions about where to find swaps and how to do them successfully. So, for those who don't know, a newsletter swap is when you and another author agree to share each other's books in each other's newsletters. So you're essentially sharing your books and your audiences. This usually consists of a book cover, the link to the book, and a description, or at least it should. I've seen some people who just kind of throw the book cover there somewhere at the bottom of their newsletter, but you don't want to be one of those people. Now that everyone knows what a swap is, where do you find authors to swap with? There's a few different ways to do this, and I'm going to outline 3 of the ways that I do. The first thing that you can do is you can sign up for a service like Story Origin or Book Funnel. These are kind of like directories where authors can post their newsletter swaps, and you can post your own newsletter swaps, and you can kind of collaborate together. It'll tell you who has available spots in their newsletter, and you can filter these by genre tag. You can get better results that way. You can also look at an author's swap history on both BookFunnel and Story Origin, and this will tell you how many times they've successfully swapped, and it will tell you the click data, as to how many times people have actually clicked on the things that they have included in their newsletter. And that'll help you determine if it's going to be a good swap with a good outcome. And once you've agreed to a swap, you make sure that you include all the relevant info in your newsletter. Send it out on the day that you agreed to send it out with the author on, and your stats and stuff will show up when you upload your campaign link, so they can tell if you're going to be a good person to swap with in the future. Another way that's really good, and especially if you're looking for a free way to do swaps, is to go into newsletter and cross promo specific Facebook groups or groups on other social media platforms that are specifically about doing newsletter swaps and arranging different kinds of marketing and promotion things between authors. That's what they're specifically there for. So once you've joined these groups, you need to be sure to check out the group rules and make sure that there's not like a template that you're supposed to post with every time you post. Some groups have that and some do not, but it's good to always look at the rules of any Facebook group that you join to make sure that you're following them. So once you're ready to make a post, what you're going to do is you're going to include the title, the link, your cover, your genre, your list size, and the dates that you can share. You can also list how many spots you have open, so people know, how the demand that you have. What specific genres that you're looking for. If you're only looking for a certain genre to swap with, that's something they need to know up front. You can also specify what list sizes you're interested in swapping with. If you have, if you don't want to swap with anybody who doesn't have a certain number, you can do that. You then chat with the authors that comment on your listing, and you kind of just do it via your comment section, or you can private message people if they've replied on there and they say, hey, I want to arrange a swap. You just go into your messages and message back and forth, and you guys work out when you're going to swap with each other. Sometimes you'll also be working with authors' PAs, because a lot of PAs set up newsletter swaps. Some authors choose to use a Google form. They set up a Google form that has all their information in it, and you just fill it out. If you choose to go with this method, you need to make sure that you are following up with everybody who fills out this form, so they know, was my swap accepted or was it not? Because I've done these a couple times, and I don't know if I'm swapping with this person, because they never get in contact with you until the day of the swap. So try to be prompt about, if you see you got a notification, try to let that person know whether they have been accepted to the swap or not. Then you want to kind of reiterate, what was in the Google form. Say, this is the date that we've agreed to swap. Here's the information that you need, and make sure that you both know what's going on. The last method that I'm going to talk about is probably the most labor-intensive method, but I do think that it yields good results. This involves looking up your comparable authors. This is people that write books that are in the same genre as you usually, and have some of the same tropes, and that you could say to someone, hey, if you like this, then you might like this, kind of like I do on the Indie Connection. So the first things you want to look at is, do they have some of the same elements as the book that you're wanting to promote? And are they successful? Because you don't want to, it's not that you don't want to swap with authors who are not successful, but swapping with authors that are doing well is going to help your book do better, because you're going to get into their also bots. So that's kind of a good push right there. I wouldn't suggest, being like, hey, George R.R. Martin, will you do a newsletter swap with me? That's probably not going to happen. You want to stay away from authors that are probably published by the big five, especially if there's some of the larger authors like Martin. Successful indies are a whole nother story. You want to be able to get in there with successful indies and network, make industry connections with them. And it's going to be really valuable to be on there with someone who is doing well and is it indie. You have sort of the same audiences. You have people on their lists already that are reading indie books, and that's a major plus, because some people only read traditional books because they don't really know about indie books, or they've heard bad things about indie books. So you're already getting people who are used to reading indie books and who will pay attention. So once you have your wish list of authors that you want to do swaps with, then you need to find out the best way to contact them. And it's very important that you figure out the way that they prefer to be contacted. We're not trying to spam and cold email people. We're trying to find people that we have things in common with and that we can collaborate with and network with. So don't just be chasing them down on Facebook if that's not their preferred method. Don't be tagging them on their Facebook page, like in the public eye, being like, hey, I love your books. They're kind of like my book. Here's my book. Do you want to maybe swap? No, you want to make this a private conversation. And usually an email is a good way to go. But again, look up what their preferred method of contact is. Then there's some things that you want to do. You want to introduce yourself. Tell them who you are. You want to let them know why a swap with you would be beneficial for both them and you. And of course, you want to tell them, like, here's my book. These are the dates that I have open. Would it be good for you to swap on any of these dates? So try to keep it really personable and professional, but also friendly enough that you can create some sort of connection with them. The worst thing they can do is say no. I would say at least one of them is probably going to swap with you. And if not, you might have actually created a connection with you where they will swap with you in the future. They'll remember you and remember that you took time out to make a genuine connection. If you don't get all 10 people on your list or all 15 people on your list, you'll probably get at least 1 to 2 and maybe more if you're lucky. These turn out to be really, really valuable swaps compared to just arranging regular swaps on other sites. Sometimes just getting so specific and making sure you're with a successful author can really boost your sales and make it a really good swap for you. Another question that I get asked is, what if I don't have a very big list? There are definitely authors out there who will only swap with people that have a list of a certain size. But there are also authors out there who are happy to, go with a smaller list. Someone who has a smaller list and they don't care. Personally, I remember what it was like being at like 100 subscribers and nobody wanting to swap with me. And now that I have over 16,000 subscribers, if a little person that has a small list wants to swap with me, I'm like, hey, yeah, let's go. I'm very open to swapping with people who have smaller lists because, hey, I've been there, I've done that, and I remember how hard it is. And just like me, there are plenty of authors out there who have also been through the same and they're happy to swap with smaller list size. One thing that you can offer, extend an olive branch, if you will. If you have a smaller list size, say, hey, I can also share your book on social media. And that's another way that you're, expanding reach that you have. If you don't have as much reach in your newsletter, you might have more on social media. You're getting more eyeballs on the other author's book. So it's just a kind thing to do to kind of make up for that lack in numbers. You don't have to do it, but it's just a nice thing to do and an idea to help you, persuade someone with a larger list to swap with you. I hope this has helped you guys learn more about newsletter swaps and how to find them and how to make them effective. As always, if you guys have any questions for me, you can reach me via email at info@fiction-atlas.com, or you can reach out to me on social media. I'm always happy to help. I hope you guys have a great month, and I'll see you next time. Bye!
As always, another great marketing tip. I really found a lot of that fascinating, actually.
It was really good.
There was a lot of really good stuff in there. The chat went on fire during that time. And I was commenting to VENESSA off air. You never know what's going to set the chat off, and apparently being silly was the thing tonight. But that being said, I wanted to put this up there. In a perfect world, when a reader got a book for free for any reason, they would leave a review because they appreciate that. And scurvy grants clairvoyance. Can we be practical and silly? And here we go. If I read it, I review it. The Indie Golden Rule. Lemons, stop the voices then. She has a ton right now. Swaps, twitchy. All right, you're about to hear it. Yes, we can. Yes, we can. Agree, JD. Or practically silly. Story Origin is the bomb. Everybody's talking about how great Story Origin is, including our own VENESSA here. But newsletter swaps aren't all that different from spouse swaps then. Story Origin is the fishbowl.
I think you have to be of a certain age to know that reference.
so is beta testing critique partners now. And then I used to do it the slow way, so now it just makes it so easy. And then, Karina's comment is much funnier and dirtier after mine. And everybody found that amusing, as they do often when Rebecca comments. But yes, I really love baiting services. And yes, VENESSA, me too. I've been using more and more. Yeah,
It's
it's
really
just,
good.
yeah, I can't emphasize what CL can have said enough. Always introduce yourself to the authors before you ask them for anything. Otherwise, it can be a quick block. Yep. Um, we were, we did, we do this thing in the tribe that, for anybody who doesn't know, Vanessa runs the writing tribe, and we do co-working, which is, everybody gets together and does their thing for 2 hours. And somebody in co-working today was talking about how somebody was bothering them on social media, and
Mhm.
and just somebody who they had barely any interaction with, and it's like, okay, I can't solve all your problems as an author.
Right.
You need to get some help. Some people have zero attack and are aggressive too, bad combo, and it's like Pepe Le Pew with books. All right.
Oh,
so
Jamie.
so real quickly, I'll rant as quick as I possibly can because we're coming up on the hour, and I wanted to get a couple other things in. But so there was an article out there. There was actually a tweet that had started this all. It was by Rebecca Green, who is the film producer. Her credits include It Follows. A lot of people like that horror movie, and she didn't expect her tweet to get nearly 20,000 likes and over 1,500 retweets, but it did. And her tweet was basically producing a $2 million movie. And since arriving on location for prep, every actor attached has dropped out due to Marvel. Netflix or TV opportunities, which are holding up our cash flow. She tweeted on March 11th, in case you were wondering what it's like to make an indie in 2022. After her viral tweet, people spoke to Green, and she reiterated that the indie film is dying a slow death. And that is due to not only just making the movie, which is a big task, as you just heard from her, but also getting it out there and getting it seen again, because the pandemic wiped away independent film art houses
Yes.
and cinemas. And so it's taken a while for them to get back. A lot of them did never recover. Some of them just closed permanently.
I was
And
also reading some of them started showing more commercial stuff in
mhm,
order to pay the bills.
yeah,
You
yeah,
know?
and they didn't have a choice. Yeah, and that happens, and you can't blame them for trying to stay alive.
Right.
I
Of
appreciate
course.
that. Uh, but we do. There is a call out there to get indie film out there. But I will say this about the notion that indie film will die. It will never die,
Right.
because what will happen ultimately, it may change, it may evolve, it may
It'll adapt.
redirect
Yes.
you, but the idea is that we're always itching as artists to tell personal, beautiful
Mhm.
stories, and the only way you can do that is usually within the indie medium, because mainstream won't pay for that because it doesn't pay their bills. They're
Mhm.
looking for return on their investment.
Yep.
So when they make a movie and they put all this money into it, they know ahead of time that either they're going to lose. They do pick movies viably to lose money. It's
Mhm.
not always a win-win for them, and sometimes movies don't make money like they expect them to,
Right.
but they do hedge their bets quite a bit. That's why you see these remakes of remakes upon remakes, because they
Mhm.
know those are going to ultimately make money, because
Yes.
they're going to bring in the fan
Even though
base
they
that
are
was originally there.
annoying as
Yeah,
hell. Quit
yeah,
fucking with my childhood.
yeah, yeah.
Sorry.
No, I'm with you 100% on that.
I
But
I
yeah, go
God.
ahead. No, no,
Well, no, it's your rant. I don't want to interrupt.
no. I'm good. I'm good.
What I found really interesting that it never even really occurred to me, because that filmmaking is not my wheelhouse. Like I think it's awesome, and I want to someday write scripts, but I'm not ready for that, and so it's not really my wheelhouse. It never occurred to me that actors would agree to do it and then drop out because of all of like the bajillion things that Netflix and Marvel and
Hmm.
all of those, particularly the streaming companies, because they seem to
Hmm.
be super active. It never occurred to me that that would happen. It makes sense. Like, it's one of those things when you hear it, you're like, oh yeah, well, that makes sense. But I can totally see how that would be a huge problem for the indie film industry.
Hmm.
But I also agree with you that, I mean, weren't they saying 10 years ago that ebooks are going to kill paper
Hmm.
books? No, they
Yep.
haven't killed paper books. And because
Yeah.
like art always finds a way to live.
Yep.
As human beings, it's one of our core ways to express ourselves in
Hmm.
art of varying kind, whether it's art with words, art with visuals. It doesn't matter. Humans and art are so entwined. It's never, the only way it's going to die is if humans go extinct, which is not off the table, obviously. But
well, everything dies at that point, so
right, exactly.
nothing matters.
Except for cockroaches and probably, never mind, I'm not going to go political, but cockroaches.
Yes.
So.
But yeah, here, I'm going to blow all of your minds right now. Okay. This is what I really want to get to the idea of, that you would not have these Marvel movies, you would not have Netflix, you would not have all these things without indie film. Why do I say that? Because indie film was the first capturing medium to do it digitally. All of the things that you see are done now are done through digital cameras because it's easier to transport. Like a lot of filmmakers still have the need to do it on film just because of the aesthetics and the feel of it, and just how they grew up and how they knew about it.
It's like
so 35 millimeter,
like
right? Exactly. Yeah. It's the same idea, but because when indie films started doing digital, the film industry, all the studios said, no way, we'll never go digital. You can kiss our ass. We want reels. We want to do it the way we've always done it. And look at what Marvel did. Marvel said, you know what? We're using red cameras. We're using digital projection. We're going to do 4K. All of those things were possible because indie filmmakers. So the other thing about indie film that will never, why it will never die, is because they're always the first to grab onto the innovation, because the innovation is welcoming them to try it out. The digital marketplace brought them in and said, here, try our camera. So, you know.
And I mean, how many times does this have to happen? This same thing happened with the music industry. You know, musicians, indie musicians embraced digital distribution of their product. And and it happened to books, and then the exact same thing happens with film, and it's just like, but then of course the indies are always still the bastard stepchild, right? So, but that's okay.
All right.
We persevere.
So, what we were talking about in the private chat is it's still the same for you, or do you have a different one
that you want
to? Okay. All right. So what I didn't tell everybody who's here tonight is, and I know everybody's like, what are they talking about, right? So what I didn't tell everybody here tonight is, because you guys were so vocal and wonderful with your comments, and you're continuing to do so, but we have to get on with it. The show should end here pretty soon. But so I've been giving out, for people who don't know, I've been issuing points to people who have been commenting and who show up and engage with our product for the month of April. And those points I'm keeping a tally of those points. And the one who finishes with the most points at the end of the month will get a free 1 week sponsorship on This Week in Indies. So you'll be sponsoring the show. You'll be, mentioned, your links will be there. You can give us a commercial to play, or I can read something on the air for you, but you will be the official sponsor of that particular show in May. And then also you will be doing a free takeover of our Facebook group for the entire day, so you can do more promoting of your stuff. And what I told Vanessa in the private chat was to pick her favorite comment of the night, and I'm going to award that particular comment double points. And here it is, everybody. This was her favorite comment of the evening. So congratulations, Deborah. It was a hard decision. Yes, she wrestled with it. So.
I did.
But there you go. So Deborah, congratulations. You're going to get double points for that comment, because that was an awesome comment on top of everything else. But yeah, so and everybody's keep going. And now Vanessa's ranting too. What have you done? Yeah, yes, I'm a ranter. It's what I do.
It's a gift.
You're very welcome. You're very welcome, Deborah. Hey, look, you made the comment, so you resonated with us tonight. Speaking of resonating with us, I want everybody in the chat right now to leave a comment after the show and tell Miss Giunta how awesome she was tonight, because she was so awesome. Like I said, there was nobody else I could have thought who could have done this, and she did wonderful. It was amazing to have you co-host, and most likely we'll see you again on the show down the future. If not for Katie, maybe myself, maybe you and Katie will do a show together
That would be cool too.
down the road. But I really appreciate you stepping in. This was a last minute thing that we talked about, and believe it or not, everybody, for anybody who wants a little bit of how the sausage was made and behind the scenes, I seriously considered canceling this show altogether. After, because it just seemed like everybody's schedules weren't lining up, and I only have so many places to put this show, and so I'm glad I didn't make that decision because you all showed up tonight. Obviously, this is a really great show. I'm really proud of it. It's the thing I've really wanted to do for a very long time, and now we're doing it. So I think it has to be done, and we're going to continue it. And now that we have a support system to do it, we're going to do that. And for sure, better see her again. Well done. Going to embarrass her next week in co-working stream, shower her with praise. Vanessa is awesome, but I miss Katie.
I miss Katie too. I was so nervous, y'all. I was like, I don't know if I can fill her shoes.
But there you go.
Oh, Pam. Oh, and Karina.
6 a.m. Yes, that's that. If that's not a testament, I don't know what is. But thank you, Karina. Yeah, that was awesome. All right, Miss Vanessa. Part of the fun of doing this is you get to do it. You get to say the magic words tonight.
Okay, everybody. Thank you so much for hanging out with us and listening to us talk about the news. Hope you got a lot out of it. And don't forget, it's always time to go indie now.